Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, he's cool and all, but wouldn't he just be so much better if he wasn't so damn fast? Personally, I think he'd be so much cooler if he just ran at normal speed. He also needs a better companion. Maybe give him a green brother? And honestly, he has way too little clothes, so let's give him some overalls too. Ooh, and let's make him Italian. Yeah, we gotta have that diversity, am I right? Oh, and a mustache! Wouldn't that be just so cool? So cool. Said no one ever! As I so cleverly alluded to with my witty sarcasm, Sonic the Hedgehog and his namesake franchise tend to so often be compared to Nintendo's Red Plumber. It's honestly very disheartening seeing this happen as a Sonic fan, because no matter what the franchise does, it will always be compared to the Mario franchise. These two franchises and their spin-offs may share many different genres, but they both do things very differently. And it's always a shame to see the public opinion sway towards Mario's endeavors, seeing any attempt by the Sonic franchise to do the same as an inferior version. And honestly, as a big Sonic fan, this quite often ends up pissing me off. There's one series in particular that I see not get as much recognition as the one that headlines Mario, and that is the Sonic and All-Stars Racing series, which, whenever it is mentioned, is often compared to Mario Kart. As a fan of racing games, this series is one that I hold very near and dear to my heart, keeping up with every game ever since the first installment on the 360. So, the big question of the day is there a reason why this series doesn't get as much recognition as the aforementioned Mario Kart? What exactly is keeping this series from getting as much praise as something like Mario Kart does? So, what's the goal here? Am I just gonna bitch about how much I want more than just Mario Kart in my life? How Mario Kart shouldn't be held up on this high horse? Of course not, because I love Mario Kart too. No, today I just want to talk about my love for a series that I wish just got more attention from the public. And maybe show you guys why it should get as much recognition as Mario Kart. Well, let's jump right in and see exactly what this series has to offer. Starting with
Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing!
Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. What a wonderful way to start off. So obviously, at first glance, one of the big appeals of this game is the characters, and of course, the representation that they bring from their respective worlds. You gotta keep in mind, this is from an era where SEGA actually gave a damn about their characters, bro. And this was an era where SEGA was not afraid to show off everything they've created over the years. Sadly, in recent years, it just seems like SEGA is just way too afraid to do anything like that. In current year, you'll never hear them acknowledge shit like Monkey Ball, or Samba de Amigo, or Crazy Taxi, or even Jet Set Radio. None of them will ever get any recognition nowadays. The day that would happen would be fucking crazy. Billy Hatcher, Aye, Alex Kidd, and so many more. Even fucking Ooh La La from Space Channel 5 come back from wherever the hell they've been just to come drive cars with Sonic, the one man on Earth that doesn't need one? Now, let's get real for a sec, because this is actually a huge deal and a real turns have tabled type of situation, because this is exactly what many Mario Kart fans have been asking for and have yet to receive. So this has now become something that SEGA has done first and has done fantastically. In this one game alone, there is just so much attention to detail given to all the franchises that are represented. Every single track in this game is just coated with the essence of these franchises to the point where these tracks don't feel like they're just themed on these games. No, it actually feels like you're racing within these worlds. And of course, you can't forget about the items. Just like Mario Kart, these items can change the pace of a race in an instant. There is a good variation of items, with many of them being either offensive or defensive. But of course, there are also the namesake of the game, the all-star moves. Get a good look, guys, because although these do return in the next game, this is as flashy as these are ever gonna get. These items are essentially just the Mario Kart Double Dash character items in terms of gameplay. And just like in that game, these items tend to be a little more overpowered, but personally, I think these just make the game just so much more fun to play. You could just be chilling in a race and then all of a sudden the music changes and you're like, oh fuck, is that Supersonic? Oh shit, is that the Bonanza Brothers throwing bombs off their car? Holy fuck, is that a fucking egg? Of course, there's also the basic gameplay. How does the game actually play? Well, I'm so happy to say that this game really does hold up. This game controls really well. Obviously, every character has their different stats, but it all controls really well. The handling's really smooth, the speed is perfect, and of course, you can't forget about the drift. Drifting successfully ultimately gives you a really nice boost, which obviously makes you go faster. The game is designed in a way where if you drift a lot, it becomes really rewarding, making you go faster and ultimately winning you the race. Especially with how the tracks are designed, you will get so many opportunities to drift, and it will feel absolutely amazing whenever you're able to string them together. This game also does something that Mario Kart hasn't done since the DS entry, and that is having a mission mode. This mode is essentially how you'll end up unlocking things like characters, stages, and music. By doing missions, you're rewarded with SEGA Miles, which can then be used in the in-game shop, which isn't associated with microtransactions. The in-game shop is filled with characters, tracks, and music, which you can unlock in any order you please, albeit that you have enough SEGA Miles for it. You can technically get SEGA Miles from other modes in the game, like multiplayer or exhibition matches, but I really think that you'll ultimately find that the mission mode is the way to go when trying to unlock everything. This mode is filled with a good variety of missions, ranging from just standard races to even some very unique challenges. Overall, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing is a very enjoyable first entry in the series, but things definitely get better with second verse, same as the first. Although the Sega is dropped from the title, this is still very much a celebration of all the franchises that are represented in the game. Now being the second entry in the series, this game is truly a step up in visuals, looking absolutely gorgeous. So, you may be asking, what exactly is the hook? What is the new gimmick that Sega's bringing to the table in order to get us to play this game over the previous one? Well, it's in the title, dumbass. No, but for real, the gimmick is something that, well, unfortunately, is also still very Mario Kart coded. That being land, air, and sea gameplay. This entry, coming out a mere months after Mario Kart 7, really had people thinking, these two games have a lot in common, with that common factor being the new gimmick of land, air, and sea gameplay. And it really didn't help that Mario Kart 7 just so happened to release first. However, these two games have a really different way of approaching this new gimmick. Land, air, and sea gameplay in Mario Kart really is just a thematic feature, really being just an excuse to change up the track design. For Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, however, they really did take full advantage of the gimmick, showing that it's not just a thematic feature, but it is truly something that is game-changing. Unlike in Mario Kart 7, where the glider and the underwater racing is just an extension of the normal racing mechanics, the way the gameplay works in Transformed is that, just like in Mario Kart 7, your vehicle does change in an instant. However, it doesn't change in just, it slightly changes your vehicle to be able to go through different terrains. Oh no. In Transformed, your car just straight up transforms into a fucking plane. Your controls change. You have to adjust the way that you're controlling your vehicle. And then, poof! You're a fucking boat? What? And then you have to adjust to the way that the terrain moves. Because obviously, water is fluid. It is not solid. It's so damn cool! At first, the way that these vehicles control is very jarring. Because again, your controls straight up just change mid-race. The car controls as it did in SEGA All-Stars Racing. The handling is a little better, and the drift is a lot easier to use. Where the real challenge comes in is with the controls for the other vehicles. For example, the plane obviously controls different because you have a new axis you can traverse, being up or down. You get a lot of control, and it's very jarring at first, but once you get the hang of it, it is so wonderful to control. And then with the boat gameplay, although it's similar to using your car, the real challenge comes from the ever-changing waves. The waves react to other racers, the waves react to items, and the waves impact how easily you are able to traverse the water. And it's just so damn cool. Like, every aspect of the transformations, be it the plane, be it the car, be it the boat, is something that I haven't seen any other racer do. I haven't even seen them attempt to do something as cool as this. It's just so amazing and unique. But the gameplay isn't the only thing that got a huge step up. The content in this package has also seen a huge increase in quality, with a good example being the mission mode, which in this game has been repackaged as World Tour. The way that this mode works is actually a little different than it worked in the previous game. You are now given a path of missions that you go through. This path is linear, but it does start to branch out towards the later missions. Just like in SEGA All-Stars Racing, there is a very good variety of missions, with this game having a lot more mission types. Boss fights with tanks, dodging cars, flying ring challenges. There's just so much more to do in World Tour than there ever was in the mission mode in SEGA and All-Stars Racing. This mode, similarly to the previous, is also how you will unlock all of the characters, with many of the branching paths on the World Tour leading to an unlockable character. In order to progress through World Tour, you will need to complete every mission, and at different ranks. Depending on the rank, you get more stars, and stars are the way that you unlock more of the path. When it comes to tracks, that's when the Grand Prix comes in. The Grand Prix works the same way as it did in the last game, which is also how it works in Mario Kart. You are given a Grand Prix with a select amount of stages. You progress through the stages in order to win the Grand Prix. And your reward for finishing a Grand Prix is unlocking the next Grand Prix, which will then unlock stages for use in free play, multiplayer, and online. And of course, you can't forget the music. Oh my god, the music! Don't get me wrong, in SEGA and All-Stars Racing the music was good, but that was due to all of the music just being ports from other games. But in this one, in Transformed, they are all remixed and they sound incredible. Like, come on, just take a listen.
Esta música es para ti, alegría de una samba y cha-cha-cha. Muévete, a este ritmo muévete, una noche de fiesta será. A todo el mundo viene aquí, todos quieren estar feliz. Ay, qué lindo carnaval, esta noche vamos a gozar.
And then there's the multiplayer and the online aspect of these games, which, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience with, because the online community for these games are just dead. It is impossible to find an online match, which is unfortunate because even for games like Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 7, which are just as old as these, I can still find online matches on dedicated fan servers. It's just very unfortunate that we don't live in a timeline where these games have a strong online community that is just thriving. And obviously, I could ask some friends to play with me online in order to get a good experience of it, but, you know, they're usually busy and I don't want to disturb them. And also, they got really bad taste.
Am I just destined to have the wrong opinion?
So, overall, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is just a phenomenal experience, and to this day is one of my favorite racing games of all time. So, where do we go from here? How do you make this series better? Well, that's the funny thing. You don't. And now, we finally arrive at Team Sonic Racing. And, I gotta be honest with you, Chief, this is nowhere near as good as Transformed. This time, you really do have to worry about the title, because yup, there is no other SEGA representation unless you are the Blue Blur. This last game in the series has fully turned into a Sonic spin-off, with all characters being from the Sonic franchise, all tracks being based off of Sonic locations, and unfortunately, the removal of the transformation feature. Something that I'm not a big fan of. That's right, you heard me. The feature that made the series so much better has now been removed in favor of standard kart racing. But, is that really a bad thing? Not necessarily. As the title suggests, Team Sonic Racing is a very co-op centered racing game. You are tasked to be on a team with two other players, competing against other teams to get points, which are based upon your placement. These points are then added up together at the end of the race, which will then determine your placement as a team. Well, apart from the points, how does the team aspect work gameplay-wise? Well, during a race, you're able to collect items like in previous games. But since you're in a team now, you're able to offer those items to your other team members. You offer the item up, and they could choose to accept it. And your teammates could do the same, offer up their items so that you can accept them and use them to your advantage. There is also the slingshot mechanic, in which the leading player in your team has their path illuminated. Teammates can then go on that path and receive a boost once they leave it. The longer that you stay on the path, the longer that your boost lasts. This ultimately rewards your handling of your car. The longer that you're able to maintain the same line as your teammate, the more you are rewarded. And there is also your ultimate meter. The ultimate meter is filled up throughout the race by performing team actions, like item sharing or the slingshot. Once the ultimate meter is filled up, you can then perform the team ultimate. And depending on how you activate it, its duration will be different. If you activate it as an individual, it will not last as long compared to if you activate it simultaneously with your other team members. Similar to the all-star moves from the last two games, the Team Ultimate is a move that can either make or break your race. Essentially, the Team Ultimate gives you and your team a huge speed boost while also making you invincible. If used strategically, the Team Ultimate can easily get you first place. But it is important to note that now that it is a meter, any team can get this move and save it for when they think it is the time to strike. Although the plane and boat transformations are gone, the car gameplay is the best that it's ever been. It is extremely fun to control and I had a blast playing, but I do have my preferences. The tracks are also the best that they've ever been, and with a jump in console generations, they look absolutely flawless. There are also some returning tracks from the previous titles, and those in particular show off just how much of a step up this game is visually. And of course, we have to mention the music. Oh my god, the music in this game is the best that the series has ever had. Jun Senoue is the one that heads most of these tracks, with some help from other artists like T-Lopes and the returning Crush 40, coming together to deliver a soundtrack that is beyond incredible. Like, come on, you have to listen to this. Do me a favor, put this shit on full blast, put this shit on your fucking speaker. Wake up the whole damn neighborhood, I do not give a fuck. You have to listen to this spectacular music. Alright, listen to this. Nah, but for real though, listen to this.
I can feel it now.
But there's also another thing that Team Sonic Racing does differently, and that is their mission mode. And in this case, it's a full-on story mode. Yeah, I know. Ugh, Sonic's story in my racing game? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I understand, but I'm just gonna recap the story real quick. But I know damn well y'all don't care about this shit, so I'm just gonna put some Subway Surfers in the corner to get your attention. The way that the story mode works in Team Sonic Racing is actually very similar to the way that World Tour worked in Transformed. There's a path of missions that you're tasked to do. Similarly to Transformed, you can attack these missions at any ranking that you choose. However, progression is not locked behind how well you do these missions. It is essentially just completion based. The rewards for the missions are also different. While in the previous games, you would unlock characters and tracks, in this one, you only unlock cosmetics for your cars, which is also something that is different in this game. You're able to fully customize your vehicles, be it the body, the paint, or even the horn. And that's essentially it. There are a good amount of missions, and a good variety of missions as well, keeping up the tradition of having a very fun and rewarding mission mode. But of course, there is a story. The story is actually very simple by Sonic standards, almost Mario-like. The story essentially goes as this. Sonic and friends receive a mysterious letter, inviting them to partake in a racing event. They are given supercars and are told that the grand prize for the racing event is the chance to keep their supercars. As the story progresses, everyone starts to become very suspicious of the event and the person that invited them to it. That's when you meet the Dampa, who is the one that invited everyone to the event. At first, they all think that he's evil, but as the story progresses, it becomes more and more clear that he really just is who he says he is. A man that just wanted to invite everyone to race. Again, compared to other Sonic stories, this one is really simple to just recap in a couple of sentences. So then, you may be asking, why did I need to recap it? Well, that's because fucking Sonic Frontiers references the events of this game as a canonical event that happens. Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, the Sonic franchise as a whole in recent years has adopted this idea of everything is canon, which on paper it sounds good, they have good intentions, but in practice, it's just so fucking confusing.
I wonder if cream and sticks are free. Make a road trip out of it.
And that's it. That's the entire Sonic and All-Stars Racing series. To be honest, this series is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. And no matter how high the highs are, or how low the lows are, I can't help but love every single game in this series. And ultimately, I just hope that we get more. But in order for that to happen, we need to get a lot more people to show these games the love they deserve. And this is where I reveal my ulterior motive. Please, people, please, everyone watching, please play these games, please. I need more of you to fucking spam this shit on Twitter. Talk about how much you love this fucking franchise. Fucking play this shit online, please. I have no one to play with. My friends fucking hate me. Please, I'm begging you, please.
Ritmo de mambo, mambo de verano. Bailaré contigo toda la noche, bailaré. Ritmo de mambo, mambo de verano. Me gusta el verano, pero yo tengo que trabajar.